Melissa Paulson, who is right here. She's a professor in our Jago Center for Entrepreneurial Studies. So it's yours, Melissa.
I don't have any Tibetan quotes for you, and I will tell you that we are going to stay on time. So I am going to enforce that rule. So each of our speakers will have about 15 minutes. We will go over slightly. I would encourage questions. We'll have a clarifying question after each presenter. Our first presenter, and I'm not wasting any time here, is Scott Mitchell. Scott is the Vice President for Sumitomo Chemical's corporate branch in New York, of which CSR is one of his responsibilities. Scott has been with the company for 18 years, but just for the last 2 in New York. Previously, he was in Sydney, Australia for 8 years, and he is just one of 20 non-Japanese global managers. He is an Indiana farm boy who graduated from Purdue in 1987 and received his master's degree in 1992. Welcome home, Scott.
Good to be home. All right. Thank you very much. And thanks for being here. Can you hear me all right in the back? Yeah? Okay, super. Now, last night we were challenged to be inspirational, right? I don't know if I can get to inspirational, but I think I can probably get to not boring. So bear with me, and we'll go through these 47 slides that are laden with... No. Okay, 2 quick questions, and then I'll get really pondering. Anybody from Montgomery County, Indiana? No? Anybody from Japan? Fabulous. Now I can really talk. Because, see, no one can check on me. What I want to talk about is Sumitomo Chemical, our business philosophy, and how we use that philosophy to help fight malaria with our sustainable product, Oliset nets, okay? Most all of this information will be available on the website. So just remember www.oliset.net, and you can get all this stuff, okay? So far, so good? Okay. Sumitomo Chemical, because most of you probably won't know much about Sumitomo Chemical, is about a $20 billion company, all right? We're based in Tokyo. Half our sales are outside of Japan, half are in. And worldwide, we got about 27,000 employees, okay? So as we said earlier, I'm one of 20 non-Japanese global managers. So I represent diversity in our organization. The roots of our company go way back. We can trace our heritage back to a Mr. Sumitomo about 400 years ago. He was a Buddhist monk, all right? And there was some interesting challenges, and he had to get out of the Buddhist monk business. And there were ninjas and all kinds. Anyway, at the reception, I can talk about that in detail. It was pretty interesting. But he started a business near Kyoto, Japan, and it was a bookstore/pharmacy, okay, because he wanted to help people's minds and their health, okay? That was his commitment. He thought that was the right thing to do. So he did. His brother-in-law discovered a way to take the impurities out of copper, and we got into the copper business in a big way. All right? To help prevent pollution, we set up a huge smelting facility on a vacant island just off the coast of Japan, thinking that all the impurities and all the smoke would drift harmlessly out to sea. It didn't. It drifted back into Japan and ruined a lot of farms. So in 1913, Sumitomo Chemical, that's the branch that we work from, was established. And our job was to take those harmful emissions, scrub out the sulfur, and convert it into fertilizer and sell it. So although it cost us a lot of money to do that, we knew it was the right thing to do. And that really is kind of the heart of our company, that we try to live by these business principles, that we shall achieve prosperity based on a solid foundation, placing prime importance on integrity and sound management. The original precept that was written over 400 years ago said, if you think it's too good of a deal, don't do it, even if it's only for a felt hat, okay? So if you think it's a bad deal, get out, and don't give anybody credit. That was the other precept too. Pledge 2 is that our business interests must always be in harmony with public interest, okay? So in good times or bad times, we'll not pursue immoral business. Right? And kind of the slogan we use is harmony between the individual, the nation, and society. Those are key principles that we try to live by and do everything that we can by. Okay, I won't spend a lot of time with this. I think everybody knows what a terrible scourge malaria is. All right? And I want to get quickly to the details. But more than 1 million people die every year from malaria. Okay? The heavy incidence, though, of impact is really on children under 5, and you can see that in the graph on the right. And the big impact is in sub-Saharan Africa. So you've got a big area of least developed countries are impacted. You've got a lot of young people impacted. And really, people consider malaria a disease of poverty. And you get into a bad cycle with malaria. Children get sick, parents stay home to take care of the children, means they can't work, okay? Can't earn money, can't cure the malaria. And the cycle repeats. And it's estimated that over $12 billion a year are lost from the economies of Africa due to malaria. So really, what we're trying to do is find a way to eradicate poverty and narrow the gap in poverty through some sustainable development. With me so far? Too fast? Okay. Peppy? Got your track shoes on? What we did is we have a special technology that we introduced, okay, in the Oliset net. And traditional nets are down here on the bottom. Traditional nets were made of cotton or polyester, all right? You'd take insecticide and some adhesive, a glue. You would coat the net with the glue, put the insecticide on it, and send it out. That was the traditional way to do things. And you'd retreat them every once in a while, and that was the cycle. What we did is we took, and because we do a lot of business in plastics and polymers and insecticides, we took HDPE, high-density polyethylene, and we incorporated the insecticide into the plastic itself. We spun the net, and if you can imagine, kind of like a plastic fishing line, and we would weave it into that pattern up in the corner. And what happens is that the insecticide's inside the net, and so it releases over time, all right? So you can wash it, you can do whatever you want, doesn't matter, the insecticide will replenish itself. And these nets are guaranteed for 5 years. We know from field experience in Tanzania and Kenya that they can last more than 7 if they're well cared for, right? It's magical stuff. So that was our technology. What do we do with that technology? Well, in 2004, we gave that technology, that know-how, to a company in Tanzania, A to Z Textiles, royalty-free. And in 2004, they created the first 300,000 nets. It was great stuff. But remember, we want to try to eliminate malaria for everybody. And so the UN Special Envoy and others came to us and said, hey, can you boost production? So we did. We went to a joint venture with A to Z called Vector Health International, and we now produce about 30 million nets a year in Arusha, Tanzania. In the process, we created over 7,000 jobs. Okay? You can see some of the factory jobs there. About 85% of the employees are female. And that's not just stitching and sewing. That's quality assurance control, that's management responsibility, goes to everybody. You can imagine, to a small village like Arusha, Tanzania, what 7,000 new jobs would do. It's very transformational. We also have supporting stitching factories in Ethiopia, Malawi, Kenya, and occasionally Mozambique. And we're searching hard in West Africa to try to duplicate the same thing. Okay? And so you can see, right now, half our production comes in Africa, some's in Vietnam, some's in China. So about 60 million nets a year total that we make. Okay? The neat thing that we do then is that for us, we don't necessarily run this business for us for a profit. So when we do make a profit, we don't want to lose money at it, okay? But when we do make a profit, we take that money and we reinvest it into schools, okay, in Africa. And you can see, so far we've built about 8 schools in Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and Zambia, all right? So what we try to do, you know, earlier I showed the slide to show the malaria cycle of poverty. Well, we try to make this the positive benefit cycle. So we make the nets locally, that creates jobs. Okay, the net has a good benefit, so it helps improve the health of the workers and everybody else. And I should say, in our factory, we provide health care, we provide accommodations, we provide food, we provide training. Okay, this plant that we have there could be in Japan. Same facility, same expectation. Okay? Some of the revenues get spent on education, and the cycle continues. So we try to make it an altruistic cycle. All right? So, and I don't want to be boastful about this, but if you look at the 8 MDG goals, I mean, I can probably bend it to say we impact all 8. But I'll only take credit for 6. So I don't want to, even though I'm more than 50 miles from home, I don't want to be boastful. So we'll just take credit for 6. All right? So far, so good? So, harmony between the individual, the nation, society. That's what we're about, and that's what we try to do. Okay, on time? And I'm happy to talk at length. But, I mean, this is like a 10-hour thing. But, you know, in the interest of time. But, you know, at the reception or afterwards, grab me. I'm happy to talk. Or email me. Again, you can contact me through our website, www.oliset.net. All right, I'm based in New York, and we'll get back to you.
Not sure if this qualifies as a clarifying question or not, but I'll ask it anyways. What do you have any end-of-life plans for the nets? Do they come back to the factory? Are they recycled? Because they are sort of, you know.
Thank you very much for that question. So far, we haven't had, for us and our nets, now this isn't the same for all nets, but for our HDPE nets, we really haven't had much end-of-life issue because people have taken care of them and they're still good. I mean, they'll last for a long time. But HDPE is recyclable. So it can be broken back down into its component parts, and the oil can be extracted and used as for lamps and things like that. What we generally recommend, though, is that people just use them locally. Maybe when they get holes or some tears, they can still stuff them into the eaves, you know, at the top of the roof where the door comes in, and they'll still have insecticide in them, and they'll still work very well. But they are recyclable, and they can be regenerated again and again. But we're just starting to get to that point now on what to do with them. It's really hard, if you look at a cost basis, to ship that up to a village that's 10 hours away. To go pick that net up, bring it back in, and recycle it doesn't make a whole lot of sense if you can avoid it. So if we can reuse it locally, we will. But that's a good question, though. Yeah.
You said your company is 400 years old.
Yes.
A Japanese company. What makes it Japanese, particularly?
What makes it Japanese?
Japanese. What is the Japanese character of your company? Is that reflected in harmony between individual, nation, and society?
Oh, sure. What is it that makes it special in Japanese today? Really, if you look at our style of management, and if you look at the way we interact, we still model things in a very Japanese way. We do things on a consensus management basis. So there's a lot of consultation. For those of us who aren't Japanese, sometimes that's very frustrating. So there's a lot of unofficial communication and official communication. So lots gets decided and discussed unofficially. And then, you know, officially you get together and you have the big meeting, and it's already decided. So if it becomes an issue on the agenda, that means we all agree. If it doesn't come up on the agenda, then we don't agree. And so that's what makes us Japanese. or married. Could be married. It's like being married, too. All right. Is that okay?